विष्णुं स्थापितं स्वयं रूपकथनमह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवगौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशाय नमो महावदन्य कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतिषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे You can be muted and you can recite along with me. कार्पण्यदोषोपहातस्वभावा पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता यश्रेयस्यानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्ते धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते न जायते म्रूयते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयात् अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तया पहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणकर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते एवं परम्परा प्राप्ता मम राजर्षयो विदुः सकाले नेह महता योगो नष्टपरन्तपा परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वता त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ते ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयो न एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सद्बुद्धं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छत योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः Today, who wants to read? Okay, good. Last this verse. Yeah, you can recite after me. श्रोत्रादीनि इन्द्रियाण्यन्ये संयम अग्निषु जुह्वति
श्रोतान्द्रिन्द्रियारण्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्यति
शब्दादीन् विषयान् अन्ये इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति
शब्दादीन् विषयान्य इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति.
Yeah. So here the concept of yajna means it's not just about the fire sacrifices, but Krishna is showing how different activities or different uh, types of paths to devo- devotional service, not devotional service, different paths of connecting God are in the form of yajna means he's describing them as yajna means what you are offering to what in that format he is describing different processes. Some the unadulterated brahmacharis sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of senses in the fire of the senses. Yes, Pro, can read the purport.
Okay. Yeah. The member of the four division of human life, namely the brahmacharis, the grasta, the vanprastha, and the sannyasi, are all meant to become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. Since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like the animal, the four orders of life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. The brahmacharis or student under the care of a bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. A brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness. Hearing is the basic principle for understanding, and therefore the pure brahmachari engage fully in as in Harer
Hare
Hare
Nam.
Na,
Nam.
Hare Nam Kirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrained himself from the vibration of material sounds, and his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Similarly, the household
Some
who have some
license.
license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society. But a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratification. Marriage on the principle of religious life, marriage of purpose, religious life, and other sense gratification. No, sorry,
No,
real life is a therefore current in all civilized human society because that is the way of restricting sex life. This restricted, unattached sex life is also a kind of a yagna because the restricted householder sacrifice his general tendency towards sense gratification for higher transcendental life.
okay, thank you. Yeah. So different activities are being dovetailed to God. So the brahmacharis, they are dovetailing the process of hearing or the process of acquiring knowledge in more specific terms uh, to God. Means they learn scriptures, they learn what are the about Varnashrama system, about different laws of God, about creation, these all things. So that they will become proper human beings and they will become proper grihasthas and proper human beings. So here the context is more about brahmacharis in Gurukul. That is the context more. So they learn Vedas and how to perform yajnas and all. Means in the when they are children, there is a sense of curiosity, to know different things and all. So that they are dovetailing towards God by learning Vedas and all. And when they become, when they grow up and become adults, so they have the tendency to perform activities. So that activities, of course, Prabhupada is specifically talking about marriage and sex life. So that is one of it. But there are many, like earning money, having some relationships. Karma doesn't just imply sex life, but they want to derive happiness from relationships and all. So the tendency is there. So that tendency they are dovetailing by living a God-centered Grihastha life, which means very nicely proper out, restricted and unattached sex life. So, which means sex life only for procreation and like that. And taking responsibility of the children, of raising the children, etc. Next, Prabhupada talks about pranayama and all. सर्वेन्द्रिय कर्माणि प्राण कर्माणि चापरे
सर्वेन्द्रिय कर्माणि प्राण कर्माणि चापरे
आत्मसंयम योगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञान दीपिते.
आत्म संयम्य योगाग्नो जुह्वति ज्ञान दीपते.
Yeah. Earlier, so Prabhupada talked about activities of senses. So brahmacharis, they are sacrificing means they are not engaging in the activities of senses, but instead they are focusing on knowledge. And grihasthas, they are engaging in the activities of senses. But again, that is also in one sense with knowledge. So that's why they are able to engage it in a dharmic way. But now, the activities of prana. So prana is higher than the senses. So prana actually regulates the activities of senses. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of mind and senses offer the function of all senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Yes, you can read purport.
Yeah. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein. In the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyaga Atma and Paragatma. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, is called Paragatma. But as soon as the same soul becomes detached from such sense enjoyment, it is called Pratyag Atma. The soul is subjected to the function of the 10 kinds of air at work within the body. This is perceived through the breathing system. The Patanjali system of yoga instructs one on how to control the function of body's air in a technical manner so that ultimately all the function of the air within become the favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to this yoga system, Pratyag Atma is the ultimate goal. This Pratyag Atma is withdrawn from activities in matter. The sense interact with the sense object like the ear for hearing, eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, hand for touching. And all them are thus engaged in activities outside the self. They are called the function of the pranavayu, and the apanvayu goes downward. Pranvayu acts to shrink and expand. Samanvayu adjusts the equilibrium. Udanvayu goes upward, and when one is enlightened, one engage all this in searching for self-realization.
Yeah. So, the prana controls the activities of senses. Once, if prana is regulated and is engaged in meditation on the spiritual subject matters, so then the automatically the activities of the senses become regulated and purified. Basically, the material desires and material conceptions, they make the mind unstable and make the mind very wavery and fickle. But by regulating the mind with the help of prana and focusing mind on the spiritual content. So slowly the mind gets purified, and in that way the soul, basically the Atma gets purified. So the goal of pranayam again is for purifying the soul of material attachment. So this we will also study in detail in the sixth chapter, the about the dhyana yoga there. Okay. So now uh, Krishna is telling about more activities. Means the activities we do in the world. So that some more activities Krishna is talking about. Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, tata pare.
द्रव्ययज्ञास्तपो यज्ञा योगयज्ञास्तथा परे
Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yataya samsita vata.
स्वाध्याय ज्ञान यज्ञाश्च यतयः संशितव्रता.
Yataya means the enlightened persons. So, having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, some by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas, Swadhyaya, to advance in transcendental knowledge. So, these are different ways by which people can connect to God. So, these are Krishna considering placing them under the yajna. So yajna doesn't mean just the fire sacrifice. Yes, can read the purport.
Yeah. The sacrifices may be fitted into various divisions. There are persons who are sacrificing their possession in the form of various kind of charities. In the India, the rich mercantile community or principally order open various kinds of charitable institutions like Dharmashala, Annakshetra, Atitishala,
Anathalaya
Anathalaya,
and
and
Vidya.
Vidyapita. In other countries too, there are many hospital, old age homes, and similar charitable foundation meant for distributing food, education, and medical treatment free to the poor. All these charitable activities are called uh,
Dravyamaya.
mm, dharma, nahi,
Dravyamaya yajna.
द्रव्य द्रव्यमय यज्ञ. There are other who are the higher elevation in life or for promotion to higher planet within the universe. Voluntary accept many kinds of austerities such as uh,
Chandrayana
Chandrayana and
and Chaturmasi.
Chaturyamasa. This process entails severe vows of conditioned life under certain rigid rules. For example, under the Chaturyamasa, vow on the condition does not shave for
The
4 months
candidate.
during. Yeah. Sorry. Candidate does not shave the four month during the year July to October. Does not eat certain food. Does not eat twice in a day. And does not leave home. Such sacrifice of comfort of life is called tapo yagya.
Tapomaya yajna.
There are still who engage themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas like the Patanjali system for merging into the existence of the absolute, or Hatha yoga or Ashtanga yoga for particular perfections, and some travel to all the sanctified places of pilgrimage. All these practice are called yoga yagya, sacrifice for a certain type of perfection in the material world. There are others who engage themselves in the studies of different Vedic literature, specifically the Upanishad and the Vedanta Sutra or the Sankhya philosophy. All of these are called Swadhyaya Yagya or engagement in sacrifice of studies.
All these yogis.
All these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking in higher status of life. Krishna consciousness, however, is different form of this because it is direct service of Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any of the above mentioned types of sacrifice, but can be attained only by the mercy of the Lord and his bona fide devotees. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental.
Okay. Yeah, so here the Chaturmas Yajna what is being talked about. Of course, we don't exactly practice that much severe things. So we practice some basic things which are given by our acharyas, maybe avoiding certain foods, but there are many other standards, and they are more related to the karma kandi things. And even Ekadashi also for us, it's more spiritual, means our acharyas encourage us to more engage in spiritual activities, maybe more chanting or reading Bhagavatam or something. Yeah, there is a basic austerity also prescribed of abstaining from grains, but the focus is not no do Nirjal Ekadashi. That is not the main focus. So these are different ways different people uh, pursue spiritual life. So one may be giving charity, and or one may be doing austerities. One may be doing this yogic, you know, yogic things, Ashtanga yoga, or one may be doing knowledge. But these are all yajna, which means they are all like offering something to God in one sense. Yes, Yashas, question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mm,
So, Prabhuji, as the Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, in the Chaturmasa, Prabhupada doesn't shave.
mm,
But I also saw some picture of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, and in that he has some beard and something.
mm.
So, but we are not following that injection. So, any specific reason?
Yeah, of course, means Prabhupada did not tell us. Maybe basically, maybe we are preaching. I have not come across exactly why it is, but it could be that the that time these things are accepted and all, but means now if somebody does like that, they may be little out of context, means people may not relate with these things. Maybe that's why Prabhupada did not emphasize. And
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
yes,
can I say something?
yes,
Actually, we are not supposed to imitate the acharyas, but we have to follow their instructions.
that is there, but that acharyas also they are following what is given in the scripture, and those things what he's mentioned, they are not in the scripture. It's not like somebody has to be very advanced to perform those things. So that way it's fine. Means if somebody wants to do and his spiritual master allows it, so that's fine. Like now also, like some during Kartik and all, there are some sannyasis who doesn't shave and all. There are some sannyasis who follow that. So it's not like that. Yeah, some things like chanting 64 rounds and all. Those we need some qualification and all this. This is little more basic.
But Prabhuji, for example, I heard in a lecture
Yeah.
where the Prabhuji mentioned that once upon a time there one devotee in the Gaudiya Math, so
Mm,
he's chanting the so many 192 rounds on the Ekadashi.
mm,
So Bhakti Siddhanta Sai Thakur said you have to go and preach. So he said no, I have a vow and I took that vow. I have to chant 192 rounds. So he said no, you are just eat khichdi and just go and preach.
yeah. Yeah. So that's what means this Chaturmasya thing. That's what some things like somebody wants to, some things some others also follow, like some stricter things. Basically, the mood in our parampara is they want to focus on sharing Krishna consciousness with others, so with the people. So that focus is more emphasized than these austerities. Of course, somebody is inspired, some have that kind of upbringing and all. Somebody wants to do, they may take some guidance and do it in some way, not again. And because there are different versions also, some Ekadashi, there are different versions of Ekadashi. Some take little opulent prasad also they are okay to take on Ekadashi. Some are very strict, take only fruits or no, very more austere. So there are different versions. It's there.
Pretty, I think the main thing is that the seva is not be restricted because of our personal austerity. I
Yeah.
think so.
And another thing is that austerity should help one advance in Krishna consciousness. So one should have that understanding and one should have that purpose while performing that austerity. So then one may perform. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the next shloka. पने जुह्वति प्राणं प्राणे पानं प्राणे अपानं तथा परे
अपाने जुह्वति प्राणं प्राणे अपान तथा परे
प्राणापानगतिरुद्ध्वा प्राणायामपरायण
प्राणपान गति रुद्ध्वा प्राणायाम परायणः
अपरे नियताहार प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति
अपरे नियताहाराः प्राण प्राणेषु जुह्वति.
The translation. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others curtailing the eating process offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. So again, these are like more different types of yoga which are again directed for the purification of Atma. Yes, can read the purport.
Yeah. This system of yoga for controlling the breathing process is called pranayama. And in the beginning, it is practiced in the Hatha Yoga system through different sitting posture. All of these processes are recommended for controlling the senses and for advancement in spiritual realization. This practice involves within the body as so as to reverse the direction of their passage. The apan air goes downward and the prana air goes up. The pranayam yogi practice breathing the opposite way until the currents are neutralized unto puraka equilibrium. Okay, puraka equilibrium. Offering the exhale breathing in the inhale breath is called rechaka. When the both air currents are the completely stopped, one is one is said to be kumbhaka yoga. By practice of kumbhaka yoga, one can increase the duration of life for perfection in spiritual realization.
Yes, you have some question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, so by practicing the pranayam, so one may increase the life because we read in the Shastra the life is already, we can say we have a prescribed life. Okay, we have to live from this age to this age. So is it
I have
possible
in
by the
mind
yoga?
there are prescribed births, means life breaths.
Okay.
There is a fixed number of breaths one is supposed to have in this life. So here they are holding from breathing. So in that way they are prolonging their life duration. They are reducing how many breaths they are taking, no? By stopping breathing for some time.
But
That
Prabhuji, how they know how much breathing they have?
no, their focus is not that. This is a secondary benefit of doing that process. See, by regulating the breathing, what gets mainly regulated is the no, the oscillations of the mind. It gets regulated and also the the pushings of the senses. And a secondary benefit is their life also becomes prolonged.
Okay.
Okay.
And yes, Vijay, and one more question is, so I saw in some South Indian Brahmins, so they before the chanting they are doing also the pranayama, all this thing. But in our society we are not in ISKCON we are not doing the pranayama and all this thing. So why we are not doing this?
No, you can do. Generally, Prabhupada, like, no, he criticized because, no, one may get into, because when Prabhupada was also, like, there, the devotees are very new and they're not philosophically, they don't have clarity and all. So what they may, and they were also into these, yoga related things.
Okay.
And so if they do, then ISKCON also becomes like that in some way.
Mhm.
And the devotees also may get confusion. We can also do this instead of chanting Hare Krishna, like that. So the
Okay.
clarity and purpose and all of, so that needs some proper understanding of the philosophy, and they should be solidly established in the
Mm.
sadhana bhakti. So then for some help, it helps, like even Jiva Goswami also in his book on Gayatri Mantra, he
Mhm.
recommends doing pranayam. And
Okay.
Sachinandan Maharaj also in his Japa books, he tells you can do pranayam and he does also. So it's there, but one should have a proper understanding. One should be properly situated in devotional practices and all. Then with the blessings of senior devotees can do. So that it's not a problem so much.
Okay.
But that's what one should be careful that no thinking this is not the end or this is not the main thing. This is just a help additional support to do
Okay.
chanting properly. So that will. Okay, you can continue.
Yes, please. The intelligent yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life without waiting for the next. Thus, by the practicing Kumbhak Yoga, the yogis increase their duration of life by many, many years. A Krishna conscious person, however, being always situated in the transcendental loving service of Lord, automatically becomes the controller of the senses. His senses, being always engaged in the service of Krishna, have no chance to becoming otherwise engaged. So, at the end of life, he is naturally transferred to the transcendental plane of Lord Krishna. Consequently, he makes no attempt to increase his longevity. He is at once raised to the platform of liberation, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 14.26. मां च मां च यो व्यभिचारेण भक्ति योगेन सेवते स गुना समितान सम्मिताननि brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engaged in the unalloyed devotional service to the Lord transcend the mode of material nature and is immediately elevated to the spiritual platform. A Krishna conscious person beings from the transcendental stage and he is constantly in that consciousness. Therefore, there is no falling down and ultimately he enters in the abode of Lord without delay. The practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one eat only Krishna prasadam or one which is offered first to the Lord. Reduce the eating process is very helpful in the manner of sense control, and without sense control there is no possibility of getting out of material entanglement.
Okay, yeah. So yes, if devotees at this level of consciousness of Brahma Bhuta, so then these things happen automatically. The mind being fully controlled, and but somebody is at a sadhaka level. If needed, some can take help of these things, but that's what one should not be carried away because that much purification may not have happened in that way. Okay. Yes, Prabhupada is also talking about prasad. So prasad has to be sanctified as well as it is supposed to be in sattva. So then uh, it becomes easy to do. It helps in sense control. Otherwise, if prasad is very opulent and all, then because prasad also has to be taken in mode of goodness. Prasad should be made in is should be in mode of goodness and it should be also taken in the mode of goodness. So means in a regulated amount at regulated times for the purpose of sustenance and for spiritual purification. So that's what we chant in the prasadam prayers also. And on
Prabhuji,
hmm,
Hare Krishna.
yeah,
Actually, I heard that Adi Shankaracharya also quote one thing from the Shastra. Something is Ahara Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddhi,
yeah,
like
that is
that.
there in purport. Prabhupada writes third third chapter purport. I don't know
Okay.
whether I have not come across that Adi Shankaracharya told it, but yeah, that is there.
Okay.
Dhruva Smriti, Vipramoksha, so that is there. So also fasting days, we observe that because we don't take grains, we don't take so much pressure, food. So the pushing and pulling of mind also is slightly reduced. So it helps. These things help, but one should be clear with the goal and all these things. With that, one can practice. That also in a little regulated way, not too extremes, going to extremes. Okay. Okay, now Krishna now speaks more about the purpose and of all this yajna now and the results of the yajna, etc. सर्वे अपि एते यज्ञविदो यज्ञशपित कल्मषा
सर्वेऽप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञशपितकल्मषा
यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजो यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम्.
यज्ञशिष्टामृतं भुजो यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम्.
Okay, the translation. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. So Krishna is talking about all these yajnas, like the study of scriptures, even the activities of grihasthas, brahmacharis, all. Yeah, I can read the purport.
From the foregoing explanation of different types of sacrifice, namely sacrifice of one's possession, study of the Vedas and philosophy, doc- doctrines, doctrines, and performance of the yajna system, it is
Yoga.
found that yeah,
Okay, okay.
it is found that the common aim to all is to control the senses. Sense gratification is the root cause of all material existence. Therefore, unless or until one is to situated on the platform apart from the sense gratification, there is no chance of being elevated to the eternal platform of full knowledge, full bliss, and full life. This platform is in the eternal atmosphere or Brahman atmosphere. All the above mentioned sacrifices help one to become cleansed of sensual reaction or material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this life, but also at the end he enters into the eternal kingdom of God, either merging into the impersonal Brahman or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna.
Mm. Yeah, so spiritual activity again. So all the above things are spiritual activities, different ways. Yoga by performing dhyana yoga or karma yoga, doing prescribed duties, or studying scriptures and all, or doing austerities. So one is purification of heart happens. So yajna shapita kalmasha. So the kalmash, the sinful reactions, sinful desires, sinful tendencies, they all get purified. And by that, one will go closer to God. Yanti Brahma Sanatanam. So they go closer to God. Again, it can be impersonal Brahman or can be the personal form of God. And there are secondary results which are Yajna like if somebody is performing mystic yoga and all, they may get some mystic siddhis. And like Jnana Yoga, if they perform, they develop detachment, renunciation, all that. And with that, they also Amrita Bhujo. So some they may get happiness or they may get free from miseries and all. So that is this is secondary result. So the main result is purification of the heart. So that is the important thing. So the desires for sense gratification. So there are three ways. So one is one can reject based on higher taste. So and engage in direct spiritual activities. Otherwise, one can dovetail them under guidance, again in devotional service. And that way, all the fruits are offered to Krishna. Or one may engage it in a dharmic way and offer a part of it to Krishna. So, so either way, it gets slowly purified. Like if somebody wants to earn money, so first, okay, best is okay if he comes to the understanding and realization that money is not needed, and one can have some basic necessities and engage fully in Krishna's service. So, but of course, if one is many may not be at that level. So, if possible, then one can only engage and work only for Krishna and get, and whatever money comes, one can accept. That also many may not be possible for many. So then okay, what engage in the professional world and give some fruits to Krishna. So that way. So different types of desires for sense gratification. One has to see how to deal with them. Okay. Yeah, like again, this verse of 11th canto says, having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. So, with this consciousness, if one has to engage in sense enjoyment, one may do it in different ways, either the second or third. So, in that way, or that becomes yajna, and slowly those things will lead to purification. Okay. Then Krishna is emphasizing the importance of yajna. Nayam lokostya yajnasya kuto anya kuru sattama.
Nayam lokasta yagyasya kutonya kuru sattamam.
O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? Okay, you can read the purport.
Yeah. Whatever form of material existence one is in, one is one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reaction of our sinful lives. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may get out of this entanglement. The Vedas therefore gives us a chance for escaping by pointing out the path of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, and at last the means of to get out of the miserable condition entirely. The path of religion or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above automatically solve our economic problem. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc. Even if there is so-called increase of population, when the body is fully supplied, naturally, the next stage is to satisfy the senses. The Vedas prescribe therefore sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby, one is gradually elevated to the platform of realized form, material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate it with the Supreme Lord. Perfection is achieved by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, as described above. Now, if a person is not inclined to perform yajna according to the Vedas, how can he expect a happy life even in this body? And what to speak to other body of another planet? There are different grades of material comfort in different heavenly planets, and in all cases there are immense happiness for person engaged in different kinds of yajna. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planet by practice of the Krishna consciousness. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution of all problem of material existence.
Yeah. One thing is, if somebody is not performing yajna, they will not have that internal purification, because of which they will be always dissatisfied, because there is always increasing material desires and different material desires. So always there is that sense of dissatisfaction, and they don't have any purpose. So they're always confused and they're always disturbed in that sense. So that is the problem. Otherwise, externally people may have these comforts and all, but without dovetailing their activities and living a God-centered life, so they will not have that happiness. So that is what Krishna. So that's what they can never live happily. Yeah, if you see in the current world, they are not doing sacrifice, but are they happy? Not exactly. That's why there are so many emotional health issues and a lot of dissatisfaction. That's why so much recreation they want. Otherwise, if they are happy internally, they don't need so much recreation. So that's what externally they have so much artha, but internally there is a lot of anartha. So that is the thing. Because happiness means not just a comfortable life or more money or something, but it's internal satisfaction. Yeah. Krishna further describes the benefits of yajna. Evam bahuvida yajna vittata brahmano mukhe
एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा वित्तता ब्रह्मणो मुखे
कर्मजन विद्दितान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे.
कर्मजन विद्धि तान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्षसे.
So all these different types of sacrifice are approved by Vedas. Brahmano Mukhe. So Brahmano Mukhe here refers to approved by Vedas. So it's important that yajna means it should be based on Vedas. If you're doing something to God, something God-centered activity, so it should be based on the Vedas or Shastra. And all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. So here Brahmano Mukhe means mouth of Vedas. Karmajan means they are based on different types of work. Again, the work based on body or mind or words and intelligence. Gyatva, here Gyatva means practicing the sacrifices and realizing and the realization of Atma and Paramatma in oneself. So Gyatva means it's just not just theoretical knowledge, but uh, the knowledge one is realizing the knowledge of Atma and Paramatma. I can read the purport.
Yeah. Different type of sacrifice as discussed above are mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of workers because men are so deeply absorbed in bodily concept. This sacrifice are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, and or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bring about liberation form of body. This is confirmed by the Lord here with form from his own mouth.
Mm. So yeah, the work can be either pravritti or nivritti. So it can be physical work like offering sacrifices to demigods or Brahman or Dravya Yajna or regulated life for householders. Uh, offering objects of senses in the fire of senses or sense control for brahmacharis, tapo, yajna, fasting. These are all at physical level. So some are doing something, some are abstaining from doing something. Now at the level of intelligence or words, there is jnana yajna and swadhyaya yajna. So studying scriptures. And at the level of mind, there is mystic yoga, breath control. So that involves both, like pravritti also engaging the meditating on the Lord and etc. And also abstaining from meditating on material desires, and rejecting material thoughts, etc. So both. So in this way, the Shastras, they have different activities prescribed for with at level of body, mind, or intelligence. And as when one does them properly as per the directions of Shastra, so then one will get the desires for sense gratification will get purified and one will realize the Atmagya. Okay. Okay. Now Krishna is giving some more insights on this. Shreyan dravyamaya yajna jnana yajna parantapa.
श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयाद्यज्ञा ज्ञानयज्ञा परन्तप
सर्वं कर्म अखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते.
सर्वकर्माखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते.
So the translation, oh, chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pruta, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Yes, you can read the purport.
Yeah. The purpose of all sacrifice is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, consciousness. Nonetheless, there is mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifice sometimes take different forms according to the particular faith of the performer, where one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge of the performer of sacrifice should be considered more advanced than those who are simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifice remains on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Real knowledge, real knowledge culminate in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, culminate in Krishna consciousness, the highest stages of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifice are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge, all such activities enter onto the spiritual platform. Depending on differences in consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kanda, fruitive activities, and sometimes jnana kanda, knowledge in pursuit of truth. It is better when the end is knowledge.
So the Karma Yoga, it can be done as Sakama Karma Yoga, like performance of just prescribed duties. Okay, these are the rules, just follow the rules. Or so general conception is what? So Karma Yoga is performed to get heavenly, to go to heavenly planets, to get material desires fulfilled. But a higher stage of performing Karma Yoga is one understands that the futility of material world, and one wants to uh, act on the platform of Atma. So one wants purification of heart and realization of Atma. So performing Karma Yoga for that is a more higher stage. Okay. So the symptoms of realization of knowledge are we studied in the those previous verses. So the being devoid of desire for sense gratification, kama sankalpa varjita, and one is fully satisfied, nitya tripta, no possessiveness, tyaktva sarva parigraha, being non-envious, vimatsaraha, and spiritually absorbed, samagram praviliyat. So these are the symptoms of the realization of transcendental knowledge. Means these are the symptoms of spiritual advancement in one sense. So if one is performing really for the sake of gaining spiritual knowledge and for purification of heart, so these are the symptoms. Outside people also, they say that we are performing karma yoga and all, but they don't exhibit these symptoms. They don't know so much knowledge of atma and all. They're still absorbed in their sense gratification and all. So that is a lower stage. And again, they are also not so much based on the scripture also. Yeah. Like before also, many of us may have the habit of going to some holy places, or at least parents and all they used to take. But that is all more for they have, so it's more like as a fun activity, or as a vacation, or at most as a some pious activity for some material things. We'll have good health, good family, good success in life, good career. So for these things. But once we got introduced to Krishna consciousness, and we understood, okay, why we should go. If we go, we should hear from a sadhu, we should understand the importance of the holy place, should pray to the deity, and what we should pray, should also hear about the pastimes in the holy place. So we got to understand what how to perform it, and how to perform it with the right knowledge, and what to desire and all, what should be the purpose. So that is a more higher thing, because the benefits also, spiritual benefits will remain for eternity, and these material benefits, they don't remain for eternity. So that is the okay. Now Krishna is saying like how to do that jnana yajna, means how to do the activities with uh, for the purpose of knowledge. So that is the context of this verse. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
So one should approach a spiritual master so that he understands, so he teaches, so that he can learn from that spiritual master how to perform activities with knowledge for the sake of knowledge. So the translation, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Yeah, so till now, Krishna focused on the knowledge of Atma and the means to realize it, Karma Yoga. Now Krishna is focusing also on Tattva Gyan, means the knowledge of God also, knowledge of absolute truth. So that Tattva here means referring to Vadanti Tat Tattva Vidas Tattvam Yadgyanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdata. So the knowledge of absolute truth is, so that is being focused. Till now, earlier it's Atma Gyan, Atma Gyan. Now there is also Tattva Gyan. Okay, and these items, these three things, like the serving the spiritual master, inquiring from him, and being submissive to him. So that will enhance one's relationship with the spiritual master, and so that that will inspire the spiritual master to give the learning to the student. So that is the basic concept here. Okay, let's read the can read the purport.
Yeah. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advised us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of a disciplined succession from the Lord Himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following his principle of disciplined succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and the person in the disciplined succession can convey the message of Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as in the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam 6.3.19 says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. The path of realization is directly in a
Enunciated by the
enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry argument cannot help lead one to the right path, nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige and satisfaction of the self realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and the submission constitute the proper combination of spiritual understanding. Unless there is the submission and service, in inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with the genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect.
Yeah. So one is blind following. Blind following, Krishna himself in the previous verse only told that doing something without knowledge and without the purpose of knowledge is not so effective. So even the act of approaching a spiritual master just for the sake of approaching or because someone told us does not make sense. So one should be very clear that one is approaching for the sake of learning transcendental knowledge. So that should be clear. And again, the learning about transcendental knowledge, here in particular, it is Tattva, that is knowledge of the absolute truth. Again, that is not just some extracting some information from a book or something, but there is also the element of blessings. And in one sense, it is a traditionally it's a personal relationship. So uh, when one like the spiritual master personally used to teach. Of course, now in spiritual at a spiritual platform, it happens again personally only. So when one is doing service and no one is asking questions, one is submissive. Submissive means he's attentive to the teachings and all. So that shows interest. So so that naturally inspires the teacher no, to pay attention to the student and help the student, etc. So maybe every one of you must have, at least or as a parent, no, everyone must have some experience of teaching something to someone. So when there is interest from the student, naturally it will inspire the teacher to know help the student more. So that way these things help. Otherwise, when he sees the genuine, yeah, so that is there. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. So it's not like a Google search engine or something. Spiritual master is not like a Google search engine or something that you can just extract data from him. It's not like that. So both these things complement each other. So learning from spiritual master, Pranipat and Pariprashna, that will inspire one to serve the spiritual master and learn more. And as one serves the spiritual master, the desire to learn from him, and that also increases. So both complement each other, and there should be a balance. Okay, yes, Yashas bro, some question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, there is a small doubt.
Mm,
I heard that if we go to the spiritual master, we always ask for the spiritual question.
mm,
So, but some devotee have some material problem also.
mm.
So, how can we correlate this shloka with this same problem? Because if I have some material problem and I have to share with my guru, okay, Gurudev, I have this problem in my material life. So,
Mm.
should we ask or we just only ask for the spiritual questions?
No, see, because they are connected to, because at sadhaka level, our spiritual life, spiritual practices are dependent on the body and mind. So
Hmm.
unless they are in a stable situation, good condition, good working condition, one cannot smoothly practice spiritual life. So first one should be clear with this, and with that one can ask. Of course, see this the context here is it's a Vedic context means people are clear with it. So there are separate people who give only spiritual guidance, and there are separate teachers who help people in solving these problems, material problems and all. But yeah, now that kind of support systems are not there. Means the family members themselves may be creating problems, and instead of helping one solve the problems related to material life, like relationships or job, etc. So yeah, so with that understanding, one can ask. No, it's not a problem. Again, it depends. Some spiritual master. So sometimes instead of asking, of course, yeah, we have to ask, and then they make. If they know, they may tell. Otherwise, they may point, direct the disciple to someone else. So it's okay. Otherwise, if you know that there is some other devotee who can help you and know, so then it's better not to disturb the spiritual master with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's fine.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so now Krishna is giving the benefits of the learning from spiritual master. Yad gyatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava.
यद् ज्ञात्वा न पुनर्मोहम् एवं यास्यसि पाण्डवः
येन
पाण्डव
भू येन भूतानि अशेषानि द्रक्ष्यसि आत्मनि अतो मयि.
येन भूतान्यशेषानि द्रक्ष्यस्यात्मन्यथो मयि.
So one is one is freed from illusion, and one is able to see everything in relation to God. The translation: having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion, for by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are in mind. The transcendental knowledge means it's both Atma Gyan as well as Tattva Gyan, means the knowledge of the soul as well as the knowledge of God. Now, Punarmoha means there is no bewilderment. Drakshyasya Atmani Atomai means seeing everything in relation to Krishna. Relation, that's what the objects we use, everything. One sees it as an energy of Krishna. And the people we interact and all, one is able to see that they are in relation, they are children of Krishna. So, which means our dealings are also based on that knowledge. If one is seeing everything as energy of Krishna, so naturally one will use everything for the service of Krishna or in the service of Krishna. And if one is seeing everyone as part and parcel of Krishna, so then one will act in a way such that they go near to Krishna. So it's not just again a theoretical knowledge, but that is how the activities are also accordingly based on that knowledge. Yeah, I can read the purport.
Yeah. The result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul or one who knows things as they are is learning that all living beings are parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna, the sense of existence separate from Krishna, is called Maya. Ma, not Ya, this. Something that we have nothing to do with Krishna. That Krishna is only great historical personality and that the absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Factually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the supreme personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. In, in the Brahman Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansion of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosopher wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experience in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity, but the Mayavadist philosopher failed to understand the absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 and that 1 minus 1 is equal to 1. This is the case of in the absolute world. Okay. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated part of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. The bodily difference is the living entity is Maya and not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna by Maya alone. Arjun thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than the eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of Gita is targeted toward the end that a living being as Krishna's eternal savior cannot be separated from Krishna, and his senses is being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. The living entities, as separated parts and partial of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as man, animal, demigod, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. Shall I continue, Guruji?
Yeah, okay, let me just explain a little bit. So, yeah, so one is in illusion means one understands one identifies with the material body, and one understands the material objects. One can be happy by enjoying material objects, and through material relationships. But when comes and one does not have any conception of God, or one may have only material conception of God. God is a supplier of material objects and objects of sense gratitude. So that is Maya, which Prabhupada is talking. And as one comes into the knowledge of transcendental knowledge by learning it from spiritual master, so then one understands that one is not the body. So the body is a temporary covering of the Atma. One's actual position is he is Atma, and the things in the world, they are energy of Krishna, and the people, they are also part and parcel of Krishna. So one accordingly change his activities with them. So instead of trying to get sense gratification from the objects of this world, one tries to engage them in the service of the Lord, and one will also spiritualize his relationships. Yeah. So that's why transcendental knowledge is important. So even though we may know things, we have to remind ourselves of it on a regular basis, if possible, daily basis. Yeah, I can continue.
One can acquire such pure knowledge only from the bona fide spiritual master and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul, Krishna, is the supreme shelter of all living entities, and giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded, deluded by the material energy, imagining themselves to have a separate identity. Thus, under different standard of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation. As confirmed in the Bhagavatam 2.10.6, Muktir मुक्तिर्हिवान् यथा रूपम स्वरूपेण vyavasthita. Liberation means is to situated one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna, Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Okay. So also, as Prabhupada told, that there are misconceptions about Krishna. So this we talked about while discussing Ishopnishad also. So if Krishna expands into many things, then Krishna will lose his identity. But we saw in the second chapter that the soul cannot be cut, the soul cannot be destroyed. So that is not correct. So when one is receiving wrong knowledge, so either the spiritual master, the source is wrong, or the spiritual master is wrong. So sometimes many times the source can be wrong. They may not be proper Shastra and all. Or sometimes the spiritual master also can be wrong. So sometimes some people may speak on Bhagavatam, but because they have material motives, they want to earn money and all, so they only try to pamper the senses of the people. They don't speak the truth. They don't speak how the material world is miserable, and uh, how one has to take to devotional service, one should reduce or stop sense gratification, all these things. So, so that is the thing. So Prabhupada is very pure, proper. This knowledge of this, the source of knowledge is proper, and Prabhupada never, he was very uh, clear and always bold to speak the truth. So that is there. Okay. So practically in every lecture of Prabhupada, Prabhupada speaks about it. It's, no, the futility of material world, the importance of Krishna consciousness. So these things everyone gets realized. Means he shows how he 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 breaks the illusion of the reader or the hearer of the audience, and he also shows the audience on how to see Krishna in the world. So both proper majority of his lectures he does both. So there is no lecture which is like no fully into katha or leela or something. Okay. Now, so the glories of transcendental knowledge, Krishna describes in few verses. Apichedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittama
अपि चेदस्य पापेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः पापकृत्तमं नमः
sarvam jnanaplavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi.
सर्वं ज्ञानप्लवेनैव व्रजीनं रिष्यसि
The translation, even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you'll be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So the transcendental knowledge is compared to a boat, which will help one cross the uh, ocean, material ocean, or the ocean of miseries. Yes, you can read the purport.
Yeah. Proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle of for existence which goes on in the ocean of nuisance. This material word is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nuisance and sometimes as the blazing forest. In the ocean, however expert swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time the most sublime.
Yeah. Yeah, so knowledge is no more important than changing the activities. So changing the conceptions. So one can externally also change to the activities of Krishna consciousness, but unless the knowledge doesn't sink in, so one actually does not get that effect. So as one performs the activities with knowledge, so then it becomes also easy to change the activities and do the activities properly. So then one will receive that effect, one will get purified, and one will develop more and more attraction to Krishna and becomes easy. Yeah, so there are many examples of how people got transformed. So examples of Murgari, Jagai Madai, and also the people in West in China, how they got transformed by Prabhupada's movement. So there are different examples. Okay. Now another analogy. Earlier transcendental knowledge is compared to a boat. Now transcendental knowledge is compared to a fire. यथैधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निर्भस्मसात् कुरुते अर्जुन
यथा धामसि समिधोऽग्निर्भस्मा सत्कुरुतेऽर्जुन
ज्ञानाग्नि सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा.
ज्ञान ज्ञानग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मा सत्कुरुते तथा
As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities.
Perfect knowledge of self and super soul and of their relationship is compared here to fire. This fire not only burns up all reaction of impious activities, but also all reaction to pious activities, turning them to ashes. There are many stages of reaction. Reaction in the making, reaction in uh, fruitify, fr-
Fructifying
fructifying, okay, fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction a
priori.
priori. But knowledge of constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. When one is in complete knowledge, all reaction both are priori and
Posterior.
posteriori are consumed in the Vedas, Brihad Aranyak Upanishad. It is stated ub, ubhe
Ubhay vaise ete tarati amrita sadhava asadhumi. One overcomes both the pious and impious reactions of work. Yeah. So, yeah, both pious and impious reactions both are materially entangling. Because Prabhupada compares them to a wet stool and dry stool. Both are stool. So, so both are entangling to the material world and both give suffering. So, and through transcendental knowledge, one understands. So both get purified. In the second chapter also we saw Ube Sukrute and Dushkrute. So uh, both types of things are one is purified from both types of things. So so there so there are different types: aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, falonmukam, and prarabdha. So these are like different types of effects. So prarabdha means like our particular body, our body has a certain degree of health, and no, so there are some health problems, and our body has a particular complexion, and all these are all the result of our previous karma. So that is prarabdha, means this is manifested. And there are some things in this life, there are some things which are going to manifest in future. So that is more like falonmukam. And then there are kutam and bijam. Bijam means maybe for next life you have some particular proclivity which will make you perform particular activities, and the reaction you will experience in the next life. So in the case of Dhritarashtra, you see, if he is in previous life he was a hunter and he tortured around 100 birds. So then he got first the opportunity to perform pious activities to get 100 sons at once, and then he got that reaction of torturing 100 birds. So so that is like, bijam and kutam. So that is there. So these all things they get even slowly purified. Initially, actually, it is said mostly the invisible things, aprarabdha, kuta, bija, these things get purified. Prarabdha, it remains in some way, some part of it gets purified. Like we may have some bad habits and all, but by practicing Krishna consciousness and all, they get transformed. But some things remain. Like, yeah, somebody is not so intelligent, so that may not so much change. Or somebody not good at some particular skill, that may not change. So they may remain as it is also. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Further, Krishna is glorifying the transcendental knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate
nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram miham vidyate
tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati.
tat tat swayam yoga samsiddhya kalane kalane atmani vindati.
The translation: in this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So, Pavitra means it destroys all sins. Sadrusham nahi vidyate, most valuable and rare. And Kalena, gradually it happens. Means gradually one acquires this knowledge, that maturity of Nishkam Karma. And Yoga Samsiddhi, it leads one to success in the yoga, which is liberation. Yeah, I can read the purport.
When we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is a cause of our liberation. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service, and when one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace within himself. He, in other words, this knowledge and peace culminate in Krishna consciousness. That is the last word in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So can take around 5 minutes and think about these things. So practical benefits of doing devotional service with knowledge. So what are the practical benefits if we have knowledge, if we do things consciously, and how can we increase our knowledge of devotional service? Then we will discuss. Okay, yes. So for the first question,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can answer.
yes, yes.
Proper knowledge of devotional service will help us to perform our devotional service nicely, which will help in advancement of our spiritual, which will help
Yes.
in our spiritual advancement, and
Yes, yes.
that will help in our purification further.
Yes, yes. Good, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji. Sir.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the foremost benefit will be that we will not envy others for their material opulences, as we clearly understand that this is because of their prarabdha, and this present birth is not given for these material opulence, not given to us for attaining these material positions, but rather it is given for some higher goal. So if we are situated in knowledge, we will be on that direction, and ultimately it will lead to our progress in devotional life. And second, the life becomes more peaceful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we will not have false expectations, and we will have the right purpose while doing devotional activities. Okay, good.
My words.
Yes. Otherwise, yes, Shrikant Prabhu.
Yes, bro. One thing is that our faith will be very strong,
Mm,
so we can reach others also based on that knowledge,
mm,
and we can defend or defeat the arguments if there are any
mm.
in case of philosophy.
Okay, so we'll have confidence in what we are doing. That is important. Yes, because it's not always the results come so immediately, so that confidence helps. Okay, yes, yes, Raj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mm,
So, in devotional service, knowledge gives us the clarity why we are doing this, and sometimes it makes us humble,
mm,
because maybe knowledge can increase our ego, but if we have a perfect knowledge in
mm,
our devotional life, it's decrease our ego and increase our humbleness.
mm. Okay. Yeah, may not be perfect knowledge, at least it should be proper and pure knowledge. So then, okay, it helps. Yes, Rahul Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam.
Mm,
Prabhuji, if we have a devotional, like if we have the knowledge,
mm,
in that case, like we will understand what are the reasons of different sufferings and whatever is happening around in our life,
mm.
in this life. And with this knowledge, we'll be able to understand why it is happening,
Ah,
and if and we will be like situated in the devotional services, even though things are wrong around us.
okay, okay. Thank you. Yeah, so it will help us to make sense of what is happening with our life and make proper sense, optimistic sense. Okay, nice. Okay, Yes. And yeah, having proper knowledge also helps us in understanding how to do things properly, so that we avoid doing mistakes. So that is one important thing. Okay, now for the second question, how we can increase our knowledge of devotional service. Okay. Yes, Rahul, Prabhu, want to answer?
Ji. So, Prabhuji, how, like to answer this question, how we can increase our knowledge of devotional service? The first thing is that, as it was said in the Bhagavad Gita just earlier, we can listen it from the realized spiritual master,
Mm.
and again we can get in the association of the devotees and discuss the Shastra. And
Yes,
for
yes,
example, if you are going to any dham or anywhere, then we can discuss the leelas and
yes, yes.
other thing about it.
Okay, okay. Yes, thank you. Nice points. Okay. Okay. Yes, Raj, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, yeah. So, for getting knowledge, first we have to read some scriptures and we have to associate with those devotees who just not only know the scripture but also performing the as per the Shastras. Because if we associate with those devotees who are practically performing such activities, so it will increase our faith in Shastras, and also they harmonize in a practical way. How can we perform such activities in our day-to-day life, like Prabhupada ji?
Yes, yes, yes. Nice, thank you. Yes, Sundara Subhadri Mataji.
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Let Mataji answer, then you can answer.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji, I also have the same answer. Tadvidhi pranipatina. So by inquiring submissively and in rendering proper service to the realized spiritual master and continuing it to practice in association with the practicing devotees. So by that way we can continue to attain knowledge.
Yes, yes, okay. Yes, Vaikuntha Bihari Prabhu can answer.
By gaining the proper knowledge of devotional service, if we perform our devotional service, we will get the complete satisfaction of the soul and the blissfulness of the soul, which is the highest satisfaction, highest pleasure, and means happiness in this world.
Okay, yeah, fine. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, if you take example of the prasadam prayers, so the prasadam prayers contain the purpose why one should take prasad and what is prasad. So prasad is the mercy of Lord. It's not a food item to enjoy, and it is the mercy of the Lord, and how rare it is, it explains. And then for what one should take, so one should take for the control of the tongue and purification of the heart. And after that, what one should do, so one should glorify the Lord with whatever that nourishment you get by taking prasad. So with that, one should glorify the Lord. So having knowledge helps in getting clarity of the purpose and the process, with what consciousness one should perform devotional service, and what all mistakes one can avoid. All this, it helps. Yeah. So that's why regular hearing is always important. We may know the philosophy and all, but applying the philosophy, we may sometimes commit mistake or we may fall short. So that's why regular hearing, Nityam Bhagavad Seva, so that helps. Okay. Yeah. Now Krishna talks about doubts and concept of faith, etc. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparah samyatendriya. Yes, Raj.
Yeah, sorry, Prabhuji. My mic is muted. Yeah, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparah sayyatendriyah.
Jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadigacchati.
ज्ञानलब्धा परां शान्तिम् अचिरेणाधिगच्छति.
The translation: a faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Okay. Okay, you can read the purport.
Such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by a faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna. One is called the faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness he can attain the highest perfection. This faith is attained by the discharge of devotional service and by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, which cleanses one's heart of all material dirt. Over and above this, one should control the senses. Person who is faithful to Krishna and who controls the senses can easily attain perfection in knowledge of Krishna consciousness without delay.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. So, can you give some examples from Shastra who have transcendental knowledge but no faith in it? Okay. Okay, Shrikant Prabhu.
From Shastra, maybe the demons, they are well versed with the Vedas and all the knowledges, like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu.
Yes.
They speak philosophy, but
Mm.
they don't have faith in Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God.
Okay, okay. Yes. Okay, Yashraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guruji. So, in on the Vaman Dwadashi, I heard the Shukracharya have the so much knowledge, but still he had doesn't faith on the Vishnu.
Yeah. Yes. So that's what. Good. Thank you. So that's what. It's possible to have this. Yes, Shrikant Prabhu, some more.
Really not from Shastra, but like you gave example of Mahatma Gandhi,
Okay.
who
Okay.
had
Yes,
knowledge, but he didn't have faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality.
yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. So, so there are examples where they may have this information of scriptures, but they may not have faith in that. Faith means it's not that. Yeah, I think we are going to comment. So first is basic knowledge, means you have that information, and on top of it there is belief that the information is true. And the third level of that is the conviction that this is my goal. That so so some people may accept, okay, what scripture says about Krishna is true, so which means they believe that Krishna is God. But is attaining Krishna the goal of their life? It may not be. So so that so the faith means having that value, this is the highest thing in my life or in the world. So that conviction, so that is called faith. It's not just information. So how that faith, so one should have this faith, and along with it study practice, so that is tatparaha. So Prabhupada says it, dedicated, he is dedicated to the spiritual path. And then there is sense control, samyatendriya. Otherwise one may get carried away. That samyatendriya is important. So when these three things are there, then one will get the result, the liberation, param shantim. So that one will get. Okay. So now next sloka, Krishna tells what if one doesn't have faith. Agyascha ashraddhadanascha samshayatma vinashyati.
Agyasya ashraddhanasya sanshayatma vinashyati.
Nayam lokosti na paro nasukam samshayatmana.
Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham sanshayatmanah.
So, but ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So, agyaha means he is ignorant of the spiritual knowledge, which may be, let's say, some newcomer, some people who visit temple and all. They're ignorant of spiritual knowledge. Ashraddha means one who lacks faith. So, it's like you gave some examples. Uh, I think, yeah, visitors to temple, in some way, yeah, we can, in some way, visitors to temple can also fall in this. Yeah. So one who lacks faith, like those who are very new devotees and all, so they may have some materialistic knowledge. So yeah, chanting is a good thing. Chanting helps in mind control and all. So that, so they don't actually have that faith that no, chanting is the one that is most important in life, and that gives the most valuable thing of Krishna prema in life. So that they may not have that understanding. And that's what, like, new visitors also, they may come to temple for recreation, but they may go to some other temple of demigod for no, they think that is the most important thing. So like that, or as a fun with other friends and all, they may come to temple like that. Ashraddha dana means they don't believe that this is the important thing in life. Agya means they don't even have that information. Samshayatma means he has doubts in the process. Uh, he has information, and he also knows that no, this is value. He has some faith, but he has doubts. So doubts are there because of material desires, or because of influence of wrong association or offenses. So that's why he has doubts. So okay, yes, Shastri, question.
Prabhuji, is it similar to skepticism?
Uh, See, skepticism, if it is based on seeking knowledge, if the purpose of skepticism is no, like no, seeking knowledge or seeking the right understanding, then it's okay. But if the skepticism is there to deride the process, deride scripture, or deride devotees, then it is not healthy, or it is not proper. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, even like no, this shloka, like some philosophers and no, some scholars, they say, how you can have samshaya atma vinashati. The samshaya, this is a specific definition. So it is with a materialistic purpose or a negative purpose. So when there is the sense of inquiry and all, so that is encouraged. So if you see that Tadvidhi Pranipatan and all, so that Bhagavad Gita encourages. So it's not Bhagavad Gita is against having questions or queries. So this is a specific doubts here. It is a specific definition of it. Okay, you can read the purport.
Out of many standard and authoritative revealed scripture, the Bhagavad Gita is the best. Person who are almost like animal have no faith in or knowledge of the standard revealed scriptures, and the some, even though they have the knowledge of or can cite passage from the revealed scriptures, have actually no faith in this word. And even though other may have faith in the scripture like Bhagavad Gita, they do not believe in the worship of supreme personality, in the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. Such person cannot have any standing in Krishna consciousness. They fall down. Out of all the above mentioned person, those who have no faith and are always doubtful make no progress at all. Man without faith in God and his revealed word find no good in this world nor in the next. For them there is no happiness whatsoever. One should therefore follow the principle of revealed scripture with faith, and thereby be raised to the platform of knowledge. Only this knowledge will help one become promoted to the transcendental platform of spiritual understanding. In other words, doubtful person have no status whatsoever in spiritual
Nice.
uh, emancipation. One should therefore follow in the footsteps of great Acharya who are in the discipline succession and thereby attain success.
Okay. Yeah. So doubts here, yeah, if doubts are there, so it eats one from within. Like, so there is that no, that wolf story is there. So uh, once, so I think both were swimming. like two people were swimming and suddenly a wolf caught. So so the person, he does not want to be shown that the wolf has caught. So he has hidden that wolf under his coat, and he tried to act normally. So then, but he was appearing a bit uncomfortable, but his friend is asking, okay, what, any problem with you? So he told no. But no, the wolf slowly, then suddenly, no, he collapsed because the wolf has, was eating his intestine and all from within. So then suddenly he collapsed and died. So doubts are also like that. They eat one from within, and doubts are natural. So one need not feel ashamed when there are doubts, even after long time. So let's say after spending some years in Krishna consciousness, also one may get questions on some basic things. So it's okay. Means one can again consult Shastra or senior Vaishnavas. That may be some some anartha or some contamination. So it's okay. So one need not feel ashamed of doubts. So with respect to doubts, some doubts, if you just contemplate, they will get cleared up. You contemplate based on Shastra and all, they can get cleared up. Or for some doubts, one may have to ask devotees, take help of devotees, and then they get cleared up. Hmm. And some doubts you may get cleared, you may get some theoretical answer for it, but it takes time to really get purified and get cleared. So like sense gratification is miserable. So initially one may have that knowledge, but not really, one may not have that conviction or faith in that thing. So it will take some purification and some mercy of Krishna to get to that knowledge. And for some things, one has to understand, okay, this is inconceivable for me. So like how Krishna can simultaneously dance with all deities, or something. How can there be a mountain like so big as Meru? So like these things, some things you have to understand. It's beyond my capacity to clear it now. So that okay. Maybe next two shlokas we will take tomorrow, and then we'll complete the chapter and go to the fifth chapter. Okay, till now what we discussed. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, as we can see that even in our day-to-day life, if people is doing so much doubt, not in a spiritual way, but in the normal, so still he is frustrated in his life. That's why I'm asking, is it similar to skepticism?
So he has many questions.
No, Prabhuji. For example, there is some spectist like Nisha and all. So what they do actually, so they think that okay, is it really death or not? So they commit suicide and all this thing nonsense. So that's why I'm asking, if a person is full of doubt in small things, so still he is not good for his material life also.
Yeah, so yeah, it could be some psychological problem also, but healthy doubts are fine. Means, so there can be some questions, but if it's like no, yeah, if everything one is doubting, means so basically he lacks the ability to trust somebody and all. So yeah, that can be some psychological problem, or maybe because of previous karma it is like that and all. So yeah, that is not good, but it's also difficult to solve it easily. So one has to understand that we need to trust somebody, and then go ahead in life. We have to trust the right people and all. So yeah, it could be also because of childhood trauma and all, also possible. Okay. But it can be dovetailed. Yeah, if that is so chronic, then yeah, it may not be so good with Krishna consciousness, but yeah, they can be engaged in some service or whatever things they appreciate in Krishna consciousness, they can take part that much, etc. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai and Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you. Vancha kalpatarupasya kripasindhara patitanam vaishnavibhyo namaha.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.